You're listening to CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living. To learn more about who we are, what we do, and how we do it, call toll-free 1-866-928-3310, and we'll send you out a no-obligation information kit absolutely free. 866-928-3310. The CFRN Emini Futures Cast is now on Stitcher. Listen to us on your iPhone, Android phones, BlackBerry, and WebOS phones. Stitcher is smart radio for your phone. Find it in your app store or at Stitcher.com. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
Are you ready, Steve? Andy? Yeah! Bert? Well, all right, fellas. Let's go!
You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/CFRN. Over 85,000 titles. Choose from mystery, romance, religion, science, technology, business, New York Times bestsellers, even children's books. You name it, Audible has it. With 85,000 titles to choose from, you're sure to find the perfect audiobook for yourself or to give as a gift, and it's absolutely free. Just point your browser to audibletrial.com/CFRN. That's audibletrial.com/CFRN. And become a part of the audiobook revolution by downloading your free audiobook today. audibletrial.com/CFRN.
Hey, trader, want to get rich quick? Well, good luck with that. If, on the other hand, you actually want to learn how to trade, the place to be is www.cfrn.net. Tune in Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern for our daily devotional, and then spend the next 3 hours learning how it's done from professional traders who actually trade for a living. That's www.cfrn.net. Every trading day from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things Emini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro, and even T-bills. Joining us today from our studios in Boston, Mr. Michael Bork. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Wednesday. Yes, it is. 17th day of January 2018. And blood ran in the streets. Oh my. Is the sky falling? Chicken Little? Chicken Little will be with us a little later in the show today. Now, just kidding. John will be with us today, though. I spoke to him earlier. And the big crash, boom, bah that happened yesterday, it's all fixed, taken care of. And he's going to shoot to join us around 12:30. So, thank you for joining us today. We're so glad to have you with us. We are now in our second decade of broadcast history. And it's always a pleasure to see your smiling face, or to at least imagine it. Now, if you're returning, welcome back. If you're here for the first time, a special CFRN welcome to you. Hope you'll grab your day planner and just, pen us in for the next decade. All right? Very good. It is Wednesday, hump day as they call it, which means that depending upon where you are, what time zone you're in, you've got less work week ahead of you than you have behind you, and it's kind of tricky and plays with your head because we had Monday off. It was a holiday. So, anyway, today's Wednesday, and it's time to get down to the brass tacks. I'm going to talk to you about the crypto sell-off in just a moment and kind of put things in perspective. But first, let me run over the numbers with you from around the globe. We'll start here in the U.S. Now, these are the cash markets, not futures, cash markets. The Dow is currently up 185 points. That's 0.75%. The NASDAQ is up 37 points. That's 0.5%. S&P 500 is up 15 points. That's 0.5%. And the Russell 2000 is up a little over 5 points. Quite a turnaround from yesterday, eh? In the commodity basket, crude oil is up 26 cents, trading $63.99 last. Gold down $4.50, trading $13.3260 last. As we move to the Asian markets, at the close, the Nikkei was down 83 points. Shanghai was up 8.5, and the Hang Seng was up 78 points. No movers, no shakers, but a mixed market, the Nikkei in the red. And in the European markets, red was definitely the color of the day. Nothing too severe, but red nonetheless. FTSE down 30 points at the close. DAX down 62 points at the close, which is almost 0.5%. And the CAC down 20 points at the close. So there you have it. Mixed in Asia, red in Europe, and so far here at home, things look pretty good. Green is good. We're staging a pretty nice recovery. Now, I put this chart on the Google Plus blog last night, emini.cfrn.net. I also put it out on the Twitter. I might have even put it out on the Facebook. I don't know. Anyway, all of this, because it was about, I don't know, maybe this time at night, somewhere in here, that I took a picture and sent it out. And now this has happened since then. And the point was I was attempting to make was, well, I think you get it. All right, let's go to Sunday night open, which would be right here. Price ran into a weekly trading zone and just got bumping its head against it, just trying to break through. Now, some people say that the more times price hits a certain area, the weaker it gets. Others argue that no, every time it tries to get through and can't, the stronger it gets. Which one is true? Flip a coin, all right? Because sometimes it goes one way and sometimes it goes the other way. Do not try to build a trading strategy around that. Wait and see what happens, okay? Does it break through or does it fail? If it fails, you got a short trade. If it breaks through, good chance you're going to have a long trade, okay? But don't try to second guess it. So now remember, these are 30-minute candles, and look how tiny they are because there wasn't much trading going on. There we go. Another try, another try, another try, and this little try is the one that sneaked through. Now, when was this? This was January 15th, which was Monday night, okay? Sunday night Globex open. Can't get through it, can't get through it. Finally, Monday night, actually Tuesday, well, no, the first candle that broke through and closed on the other side would have been Monday night about 23:30, and then it slowly just melted its way up. It did a leg and a retrace and a leg. And look where it chose to turn around. Weekly trading zone. This week's weekly trading zone. Okay, all of these are this week's zones. I know I put them up a day early, but I wanted to go over the chart I posted last night. So, we know that when price hits a weekly trading zone, it's going to do one of two things. Or one of three things, I'm sorry. It's either going to consolidate, or it's going to be rejected, or it's going to act like a hot knife through butter. Well, this is certainly consolidation. And even this, is a little consolidation. And then we come back down to the zone below. Now, this is really important. Check this out, if you will. This was the 9:30 open, all right? And price raced up to the zone. Now, this is 10 a.m. Eastern. Even when there is no news, and I think there was no news yesterday at all. When there's no news, doesn't mean the market can't reverse at 10 a.m. In fact, if the market starts out strong, you should look to 10 o'clock for a potential reversal. Let it reverse before you get into the market and get into the trade. And it's not always going to reverse. Sometimes it'll just keep climbing or just keep falling. But I'm telling you, 10 o'clock, there's people that call the first 30 minutes amateur hour, and there's other people that say it's the first 30 minutes that I make all my money. Go figure. Michael hits the ground running right at the opening bell. Me, I have a personal preference. I like to kind of watch it for about 10 minutes, sort of get a feel for, where the buyers are, the sellers are, where the pressure's on, and then, start looking for my setup. It's a matter of personal preference, okay? So, what time did the market reverse? It reversed on the 10 o'clock candle. It dropped down to the weekly trading zone at 27.95.96, where we've spent a whole lot of time. Did some consolidation, continued down, and yesterday we had a buy at 27.98, and that was worth 200. And if you didn't get stopped out on this pullback and you held it the whole way, it was 500. That's what the market made available. We never get out at the swing high or swing low because we trail a stop. And when you trail a stop, you'll always leave a little something on the table. Okay, price then comes down, consolidates at the zone, as we would expect, and then triggers the short that we had, which was actually sent out Monday night for the Tuesday session. Sell 27.88. It comes right down to the zone. That was $900 per contract available. Okay? This is what a hot knife through butter looks like. This is what rejection looks like. Remember, there's only three things we expect at a zone. Consolidation, rejection. See how it came down? It's like it touched a hot stove and just ran the other way. Consolidation, rejection, and the least common, this hot knife through butter. Now, I'll tell you that this hot knife through butter did not do exactly as we anticipate it to do. Typically, when we have that, price will return to the zone that it failed to consolidate at. It will then consolidate at that zone most times, and then it will continue in the direction of the slice. Did that happen? No. It consolidated for, I'm not even going to count up all these candles, but quite a few hours. It got there at 1500 hours yesterday and finally broke loose at 3 a.m. in the morning on the London Open. Okay. Now, if you're trading Globex and you don't know London opens at 3 a.m., woe unto you. You have to be aware of anything that's potentially going to move the market. Okay. Now, on the first run up on today's session, back to the 27.95/96 zone, we came 3 ticks shy. Which is why you'll often see me put a target at, even though the zone's at 95, If we've got a long trade, I'll put the target at 94. I actually put it at 95 today because I really think it's going to go to 95. We'll see. Okay, came 3 ticks shy. Now imagine if you had your target at 95 and you're like, man, it's 95 or nothing. Well, by golly, you got your nothing. So be careful with that. We get to the zone, small consolidation, up we go again. Zone to zone to zone to zone, back to the zone, up to the zone, down to the zone, up to the zone. If you don't see how that might potentially help you in your trading, okay? Now we have partners that trade zone to zone. The majority of partners use it as a backdrop to their trading, okay? In other words, if price is running up to this zone, let's say on your smaller time frame that you get a trigger to go long at 28.06. The indicators in our live training room, the ones that you own when you become a partner, say go long at 27.06. But you know there's a weekly zone overhead at 07.08. You're not going to go long at 06, because if you do, it's often like running into a brick wall. Same thing down here. You wouldn't want to sell 27.71 because you're going to potentially run into a brick wall. All right? See how this held price back and this held price back. This held price. This is the only one out of all of these. Rejection. That paints a pretty picture. And you can go out on Google and you can Google CFRN weekly trading zones. You can find a number of articles to read. You can find some videos to watch. And up at the top of the Google search page, you'll find some images. Click the images tab and you'll find some charts. Some of them stretch all the way back to 2009. It was December 14th, 2009 that we first published the weekly trading zones. And they have performed and held true in this manner ever since. That's a long time. But what is that? If this is, okay, December of this year will make 9 years, so I guess it's 8 years plus right now. So, okay. Michael, are you here yet?
Yeah, I'm here.
Are you? Okay, because I wanted you to see this as well. Okay. Everybody is very concerned about the cryptocurrency sell-off. Well, there's one reason that this could be happening. The world's largest human migration. China's annual epic travel rush is underway as hundreds of millions of people head home during the Chinese New Year holiday. The event, locally known as Chunyan, is the largest human migration in the world, and this year, which is the year of the rooster, will last from January 28th to February 21st. According to the country's economic planning body, the National Development and Reform Commission, almost, get this, 3 billion trips are expected to be made this year, which is a 2.2% increase from last year. And you say, well, 2.2%, that's not a big increase. Well, when you're talking about billions of trips, it kind of is. Of those 3 billion trips, 2.5 billion will be by land, 356 million by train, 58.3 million by plane, and 43.5 million by boat. Showing, of course, land transportation is by far the preferred form of travel, and I would assume the most economical. So why do I bring this up? Well, I'm going to show you. Let's take a step back in time to the year 2014. Now this is Bitcoin. 7th of January 2014, exactly 24 days before the Asian New Year begins. Look what happened. Boom. Down 23% on the day, I think it was. Let's go forward a year to the 26th of January 2015, which is exactly 24 days before the Asian New Year. get another pretty healthy sell-off. Now let's jump all the way up to 2016. 24 days again before the Asian New Year. Look at that drop. Okay. And then we move up to 2017, the 5th of January 2017. This time it's 23 days before the Asian New Year, because people have to buy tickets and make their travel arrangements and all that stuff. And we get a pretty heavy-duty sell-off, 35%. Now, each time it was proclaimed, this is the death of Bitcoin, it's the death of cryptocurrency, it's all over, it's done, it's finished, it's washed up. Who'd have thunk? You have now some historical benchmarks to look at and go, Now, the people in the markets who have made the most money, I want to say, and if you think I'm wrong, feel free to correct me, were the people who had the courage of their convictions to not run and say the sky is falling, but they say, you know what, I almost paid $18,000 a couple weeks ago. Now I can buy it at almost half that price? Would it be smart? Wealthy people buy the dips. Retail traders tend to sell them. And that's the news. So I did put an article up and a video after the show. I want you to go take a look at this. Let me just show it to you real quick so you'll know how to get there. And then we'll turn this over to Michael. Okay, you go to cryptodailyinfo.com. It's a sweet place. Okay. Oh, log out. The very top article. Why is Bitcoin crashing? Is cryptocurrency dead? Should I sell? The bulls will be back. You click on this and it's going to take you to a video of a young man who, while, okay, he's a young man. However, he does seem to have some pretty good experience in this space, and I think you'll find his words interesting. So go to cryptodailyinfo.com, and when you see this article, just click it, okay, and it'll take you to the YouTube video. I found it interesting. I think I might. I'm not one who follows people, but I just might follow this guy to see what he has to say tomorrow, and maybe the day after. And what happened to my front page? Oh, this is what it's going to look like when you initially go there. Hang tough. Just trust me. You see him? All right, you'll get there. You'll be fine. Okay, Michael, we're going to turn it over to Michael. He's going to come in, give us a recap of everything that happened in the live training room. And then right after that, John will be joining us. We'll be covering the Concierge Trade Alerts from last night. I think we had some pretty fair results, and I'll break it all down for you.
All right.
Are you ready, buddy?
I am ready. You should be looking at my screens right now. And let me.
Well, let me just say, Bob goes, where the heck? What the heck made you get that thought going? The Chinese New Year thing. I am baffled. Well, because when something happens, 4 years in a row, at the same time frame, I think maybe there's something to it. Some people, I used to have a guest on the show way back in the beginning, 2006, 2007. What was his name? Remember he was a money manager, Michael? Do you remember the guy? He came on Fridays. He was very soft-spoken, very strong Christian. And all he did were what were called seasonal trades. that if you buy this contract at this time of year and short this contract at this time of year, historically, for the last 20 years, it pays off. So
I don't remember.
Melissa asked, have I seen any kind of a pattern like that for gold? I haven't looked for it, Melissa, but, you know, that's a great thought, and I will. They're selling to pay for the trips, for sure, but how did you get onto that? Because I watched that video that I just asked you. I was updating the news on our news site, and I go, let me take a moment and read this. There's also, and you should love this one, Bob Z. One of the articles is CME Silver Criminals Now Gutting Bitcoin? Question mark. Yep. Okay. All right. I'm going to hit mute. Shut up. Let you do your thing.
Okay.
Or ask you to please do your thing.
Yes.
Will you?
Well, I will. I will absolutely do my thing.
If I shut up. Okay.
I just want to let everyone know I just posted in the link to the 1:15 p.m. meeting this afternoon. Okay, in that meeting, we will be going over these trade setups right here. Okay. It's pretty much for anyone.
If you are on the trial, or have been on the trial, or thinking of going on the trial, or you just want to learn how to trade Emini Futures, and you want to know all you can about us, I highly encourage you to go today to that meeting with Michael, because he'll be showing some things that you don't see in the live training room. Don't let it confuse you. Just allow it to let you know that first you learn a rules-based system. Hard, fast rules, a reason for everything. But there's a whole big world out there, and we got the tools and the methodology to deal with it. All right, Michael, here I go. On mute.
Okay. All right. Here you go. Go down to that Keurig machine. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Wednesday, the 17th day of January, 2018. Wow. 17th day of January. Alrighty. All right. Let's see. If you have not taken a free trial with us, go to the homepage here at CFRN.net, and right up here at the top is to sign up for the CFRN Live Training Room. 100% free trial. User indicators on our strategy. Click here. When you click there, you will be brought to this page right here. On this page, all we ask for is your email, your first name, and how you found us. You hit that submit button, and then you'll be sent a confirmation link. You must click the confirmation link. Okay, if you don't click the confirmation link, we do not know that you took the free trial. Right? That's when an email gets sent to us, when you click that confirmation link. All right? Up until then, you can enter all the information you want, but if you don't hit that confirmation link, we don't know that you were even looking at our website. Okay? All right. Spreadsheet. If you're going to look at the spreadsheet, you look at all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. As I said, today is the 17th day of January. Today we made 20 ticks on the Russell, and we lost 6 ticks on gold. That makes it a yellow day. I haven't colored it yet, but I can do that right now. It makes it a yellow day, okay, because we didn't get our goal for the day, but we did end positive. And we took a total of 8 trade opportunities this morning. So right now, on the month and on the year, we are sitting at $1,301 profit on the month. That's over 11 trading days. Oops, averaging $118 per day. Okay. Okay. Now let's go take a look at what we did or didn't do. On gold, we started off with a stop out here on gold. Stopped out minus 8 ticks. Then we got 2 ticks back right here, putting us at minus 6, and we had a break even there. Then, once the room was done this morning, we had some good movement here in the gold. Okay, you see it's still moving right now, but that was not until the room was closed. Okay, you know, after we had these few opportunities here, then you can see right here it just got really sideways, and it was that way into the end of the room. I suspected it was going to start moving once the European markets closed, and it did. On the euro, we missed one right here. That would have been a break even. Then, let's see. I was waiting for it to start trending, and it did finally start trending over here. And we had a break even right there. And then I was waiting and waiting and waiting And you see the cycle down here was not giving us any opportunity. Okay. During the break, we had a big leg down, just like we did with the gold. And I would not have done anything with that because of the cycle. So the cycle was preventing us from most of the trades today. All right. There was a long opportunity right here during the break. Okay. That was the euro. Crude oil today. We had just one break-even trade right here on crude. You see it started out really choppy, and it stayed choppy. There was an opportunity right here. If I'd have gotten this, we'd have gotten our goal for the day on that, but we didn't get it. And then it just got choppy and choppy. And during the break, we had an opportunity here and there. And right here, there was a shorting opportunity. Okay. And that was it. On the crude, we ended with one break-even trade on crude. On the Russell, we had, and let's go way back here. Okay, we missed a trade here, and it looks like we missed a trade here, but the ES must have been going into a zone here or something, because I didn't highlight it. And I'm guessing that it was in or around a zone through all that mess there. There was a long opportunity there that we didn't get filled on. Then we finally shorted one here, and we ended up with a break even. We took, let's see, 13 ticks profit on this one, and 7 ticks profit on that one. And during the break, let's see, during the break, there was a long opportunity right there, and another one right there. Oops, nope, sorry, that second one was not a long opportunity. The first one was, but the second one wasn't. Okay, and that was it for the Russell. And you can see the ES is in a zone right now. So during the break, those might not have even been opportunities because the ES was going into a zone here. We had highlighted one trade set up here on the ES, two, sorry, this morning. One was right here, would have been a break even for sure. And this one right here would have given us some profit. Okay. And you can see the ES did go zone to zone this morning, as Dwayne was going over earlier. And that's it. And that is it for the morning session. Okay, so I'll look at the spreadsheet again. If you're going to read the spreadsheet, you can read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Hang on, I want to go look at something here. Okay. All right. Today is the 17th day of January, 2018. We made 20 ticks on the Russell. We lost 6 ticks on gold. That's plus 40 total on the day. Took 8 trade opportunities on the month and on the year now because it's January. 1301 and a quarter. That's over 11 days, averaging 118 per day. That's gross profit. Okay. Okay, and back here, if you have not taken a free trial with us, go to the homepage at cfrn.net. Right up here at the top, it says sign up for the CFRN live training room, 100% free trials, user indicators, learn our strategy. Click here. When you click there, you will be brought to this page where we simply ask for your email, your first name, and how you found us. Then hit that submit button. Once you hit the submit button, you will be sent a confirmation link. You must click on the confirmation link. Okay? If you don't click the confirmation link, we don't know you took the trial. All right, it's called double opt-in. All right, I'm going to slide that back over here. And, well, we can pass it back out to Studio A in fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. And I'm going to draw a couple of trend lines here. We got a lower swing. We need a pullback over here. Russell's going into the high of the day. The ES is inside a weekly trading zone. So we just have to wait. Okay? On all these markets right now.
You mean we started the show with price at a weekly trading zone?
Well, at this point, in this show, we are at a weekly trading zone. But this morning, we actually started out this morning going right down to the zone.
Right.
and then it went back up to the other zone.
Exactly.
So,
but
yes.
I'm just saying, how many times have you heard me say, you know, here we are at the start of the show, and we're inside a weekly trading zone, or right at a weekly trading. That's, I don't know why.
It does seem common.
I'm gonna go with freaky deaky.
Okay, you can call it freaky deaky.
But because I know it was a spiritual thing, I probably shouldn't call it freaky deaky. Now that's a bold move right there, from zone to zone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 30-minute candles. That would be 150 minutes, wouldn't it?
That would be 150 minutes.
Okay.
Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Now, I told you guys that when I did some in-depth technical analysis not so long ago, don't forget, on December 30th, December 30th low on Bitcoin was 12,500. Now, all the indicators are still bearish. Okay, so this may drag out for a day or two, but I said yesterday and weeks ago that when I did the in-depth technical analysis, that as much as I hated to say it, as I saw if there was going to be a sell-off, if there was going to be a really healthy correction to kind of put this whole thing in perspective, that I saw 8,000 as the potential number. This morning I see a couple of articles out on various financial sites that are saying that they see, I guess they see the same thing I saw, and they too are looking for, potentially worst case 8,000. And so, we hope that's as bad as it gets. Bottom line is, I don't think blockchain's going to go away. I still don't. I mean, if you watch that video that I pointed you to after the show, this fellow who's, he really knows quite a bit about, I'm going to invite him to come on the show and answer questions. But he said since he's been aware of the markets, there's been like 200 death calls for Bitcoin. 200. It seems hard to fathom. But since the very beginning, it would run up and then have this massive pullback and then up and back. And so, yeah, what do we know? Yeah, we trade what's in front of us. So here we go. Now, it looks like this could close above the weekly zone at 27.96. So, at what point would we want to consider getting long this market? Well, over here, a few days ago, we said if it can break through that zone, we go 2 points out from the zone, we get long at 98. It worked out pretty good. Now, would we do anything different today? Right, this candle closed bullish. And that means when this candle opened, it continued to run. Okay? Buyers are willing to buy this thing right up to that price. Look left. Look at the horizontal part of my cursor, right over there. See that? See how that lines up? Okay, it ran right up to it, but it didn't go above it. All right? So this time, we want to see something go above it. So where I would normally say consider buying 27.98, because of this action right here, and the fact that we were buying 98 the day before. Okay, let's go 99. If we go from 99 to 06, how many points is that, Michael?
99 to 06, that would be 7 points.
Okay. I knew the answer. I just wanted to include you.
Thank you.
You're welcome, man. All right. Up on Capitol Hill. Oh, my. Let me just, a show of hands. How many people think Trump has what it takes to actually allow the government to, what do they call it? Cease and desist? Halt? Everybody goes home because they're not getting paid? Shut down. Yeah.
Shut down.
Nope. Have we ever had a shutdown before in the United States?
Yep.
When was
We
this?
did.
How long ago?
I think it was under Bush.
Huh. And
Bush the second.
how long was it shut down?
I think it was like a month. I remember.
And
it
did
was
water
back
still come out of the faucet?
Oh yeah.
Was the meat
Yeah.
at the grocery store still safe to eat?
Oh yeah. It's the federal government that's shutting down,
Huh.
not local government.
Right. Okay. I follow you. So, how does that affect the common men like you and I? And I don't want to call our audience common, so I'll just call you and me common. How would that ultimately affect us? I mean, I understand if we get some kind of federal check, that would probably stop, right?
I imagine if you get a federal check.
Yeah, let's say even Social Security. That's federal. That would probably stop.
I don't know about that. It's possible that it could.
What if you're retired military? That's definitely federal.
I don't know about that either.
I don't even know if this new military provides a pension. I mean, vets used to get a lot of respect and had really good benefits when they came home. I'm sad to say it's just not so much like that anymore.
No, it is not.
And that's very sad. Is John in the house?
No,
Okay.
not yet.
Well, I'll scold him later off the air. John, if you're out there, come on. Hey,
Everything keeps working. Michael P says everything keeps working. I got to think that it's all automated. And
What's all automated? Oh,
the Social Security and all that stuff.
Oh, nothing stops. Everything keeps working. So then, what's the big deal? I did hear something last night that concerned me. They said on some news program I was watching that the rest of the world is watching us. America, so smart, so big, so powerful, but they can't balance their checkbook. And the stopgap spending measures, it kind of, on the world stage, it's a little bit embarrassing. Little bit embarrassing. And the yuan is now in that currency basket they have over at the, what is it? Is it the IMF that handles that? The yuan was added some time back. I did not realize that. So there's alternatives to the dominant dollar. We'll see what comes of that. But anyway, this is what the news says as of today. House Republican leaders proposed a fourth stopgap spending measure to their caucus on Tuesday night, aiming to keep the federal government funded for another month beyond Friday. Why a month? The measure includes delays to several taxes under the Affordable Care Act, a sweetener for conservatives and Democrats alike. It also extends a popular children's health insurance program, which is a goal for Democrats. The House Freedom Caucus is threatening to sink the bill in the House. Nice. Republicans almost surely will need some Democratic votes to get the measure through the Senate, and Democrats are threatening to block it if it doesn't include protections for young, undocumented immigrants known as Dreamers. House GOP leaders are aiming for a Thursday vote. They just want to make it dramatic. I don't think they'll let it happen. Unless Trump steps in and says, let it happen. What's your stand, Michael, if you have one, on DACA and the Dreamers?
I don't have one.
Well, okay, let me ask this question. Now, the Dreamers are talking about, were they born in the United States, or were they just little tiny children when their parents brought them across the border? Because if they were born on U.S. soil, that automatically makes them a citizen, right? Somebody in the audience help us out. We're two of the most popular talk show hosts on the networks, but it doesn't mean we're very smart. Can somebody help us with this?
I don't watch news. I don't even know what DACA is.
Okay, this is the Dreamer Act. The Democrats want, by definition, DACA only applies to those born outside the U.S. Now, this is interesting. The one person that knew the answer to that is Fuad. And well, let's face it, Fuad is, as the first name, is not Steve or John or even Richard. So somebody from outside of our country knows more about our country. Now, I don't know, you might live in the U.S., do you? Or do you live elsewhere? So you don't live in the U.S., okay. By definition, DACA only applies to those North Borneo. My goodness. Now I'm really showing my ignorance. I don't know where that is. I'll look it up in a minute. By definition, DACA only applies to those born outside the USA and brought to the USA as children. So, if they were born here, they're fine. It's the ones that got brought across as little children. They've been educated here. They've been a part of this call. I mean, if they've never gotten in trouble, if they've done the right thing and gone to school and got, you know, good grades. At the same time, but see, these they came as children. They had no control. Their parents brought them. They also released some statistics from Maricopa County, which is where I live, a couple days ago, and it showed the difference between documented immigrants, ones who came through the right way, and illegal immigrants. The crime rate and incarceration rate, the difference between the two was astronomical. It was really something. So I see John's with us, so Michael, hang with us if you will. If you need to run, we'll talk to you later.
I'm just gonna post in here one more time the link for the 115.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. You got the guys. Don't miss the workshop if you're on the trial.
Okay.
Hey, John. Welcome to the show.
Hi there.
Good.
I've been to Borneo.
Tell me where it is.
It's part of Indonesia. It's part of Indonesia. It's
okay.
between, Indonesia, the main island there. The Balikpapan, I think, is Kalimantan is a couple of places I've been to, and Balikpapan there, and Brunei is in the north part of that Borneo island.
Okay.
So it's to the east of Singapore. It's directly east of Singapore.
Fuad says, "Hey John, I'm in Malaysian Borneo, which is now known as Sabah, Sabah."
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Wow, small world.
Yeah.
Well,
by the way, the dreamers.
Let's get your opinion.
There's a lot of people cross the border to have babies in the U.S., and if they do that, the babies are 100% legal at this point in time. They're 100% legal citizens, right. And there's a huge industry going on from where people come from China, and they stay for. They come, several months before the baby and stay in Los Angeles in special hotels and things that have been arranged for them. It's a huge industry. And then they have their babies here, and sometimes they go back to China. I guess sometimes they stay.
The same thing. If the baby's born here in the U.S., does that automatically give the parents status?
No, it doesn't. I think the parents can become citizens once that happens. It's not a kind of a
Fuad says it's called birth tourism.
Yeah, exactly.
An abusive process.
Right. The getting the parents to become citizens isn't an overnight deal by any means. It's a fairly lengthy process most of the time. A lot of Mexicans try and have babies on the other side. Mm-hmm. It's been going on for forever. Right. And that was something that Trump was going on about during the campaign. He hasn't really brought it up since. But as I was saying the other day on the show, I mean, it's pretty much a foregone conclusion that the DACA deal is going to be done. And in spite of
on what terms? On Republican terms or Democrat terms?
Well, I think they're going to get. Look, the Democrats themselves are quoted. This Dick Durbin, who's according to Fox News, is a known liar and not to be trusted, and it's
exactly
just,
yeah.
Look, every time they have a go at Trump, I said a long time ago on this show that Trump in the end will probably emerge from this more liked and more adored than ever, because one of the things that CNN did air yesterday, amongst all their other vile anger and vent, is this guy Cory Booker was the latest to go on a tirade, and God help us if that guy ever gets to be president. But they interviewed a whole bunch of voters. I think it was in Michigan, who'd voted for Trump, and every one of them said they were very satisfied with what he's done, and they would be voting for him in 2020 without any doubt whatsoever. And they had no buyer's remorse or anything like that. And it was a pretty eye-opening interview, actually, because they asked the hard questions. Well, what about the tweets? And they said, it's what I said a long time ago. People will get used to these tweets. Just about everything, they've thrown everything in the kitchen sink at him now. There's just about nothing they can say, or that he can say anymore, that's worse than what he's already said. Right. So you might argue the war is behind us, and he could become quite, in spite of everybody saying he won't, he might actually mellow as he gets more experience in time. And if he becomes
did you see that doctor was on TV for an hour?
I know, it was riveting. It was riveting. He did a fantastic job. And, I mean, Trump is a very lucky guy. I mean, Trump and Buffett are two of the biggest abusers of diet on the planet. I can't believe Buffett is still alive with some of the stuff he eats.
I don't know anything about his diet. What is it?
Oh, well, Trump is a fast food junkie. I mean, he's...
Trump, that I know. He's the big McDonald's guy.
No, Buffett is just as bad. He goes to Dairy Queen and eats all these fancy sundaes and things. I mean, they're just... Look, the founder of Haagen-Dazs died at 45 years old from heart failure because, if you eat ice cream every day, you're going to, and Trump eats ice cream every day.
And then again, there's people who drink and smoke all their life, and somehow they live to be 95.
Yeah.
Figure that out.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, Trump is very fortunate. He definitely, to be in such incredible cardiac shape at this, and his cholesterol is a little bit on the high side.
Right.
I'm not going to tell you how I could do it, but I guarantee you I could get Trump's cholesterol down to 150 in a month. I'm virtually certain I could do that. So without statins, by the way, without statins.
Well, why not tell us how?
I might fill you in on this. Okay, I'll keep you guessing, but I might fill you in on it.
It seems like you and I talked about this once before.
Yeah. No,
or is it something
really
new that you've come up on?
It's actually was originally given to my wife by a doctor, and she had high triglycerides. I think they were up around 300 or something, and she had fairly high cholesterol. Maybe it was around 220 or 250 even, and and I was totally stunned. Within 1 month, it was down to, her triglycerides were down to like 123. The same with her cholesterol. Is just absolutely staggering. And I'm just doing a little test on it at the moment. I'm going to do it over the next month, and if it works, again, I told a fellow about it in Florida, and he had difficulty getting the stuff at the time, but he called me, and he was an absolute basket case. He had very high cholesterol, like extremely high cholesterol, and he called me a month later, and he was like flabbergasted, and his doctor just was blown away. Couldn't believe it.
There's a product out there. I haven't heard much about it lately, but supposedly it contained, you know how they say red wine's good for you in moderation?
Yeah.
Well, some people separated that good stuff out of the wine, so you drink this stuff every day. You don't get any kind of a buzz from it. It's sort of like the CBD out of cannabis. It has health-giving properties, but there's no stone in it. Do you remember what was the name of that stuff?
Yeah, it's
that's what you told me about, I think.
Yeah, no, that's good stuff. Yeah, that's good stuff too.
Well, I bought it once or twice. I didn't really notice a difference, and so I stopped buying it.
that's the thing. You don't get sort of instant gratification from it.
Well, and we're used to that because we go to AMA doctors and they give you, you might have a really bad infection that hurts really. If you take a couple of those really strong antibiotics, you can have relief in an hour. But holistic type medicines just, they don't work that way.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yesterday, as I said, we unfortunately had.
Here we go. Bruce says it's resveratrol. There you go, resveratrol. Yep.
Yeah,
Thank
it's good
you,
stuff.
Bruce.
The people from the fellows who developed that, the Harvard University, they showed the experiments with mice, and they were staggering. The mice lived twice as long actually with the resveratrol. So it definitely has merit. And but the problem is it's become very mainstream, and you don't know the quality of the stuff these days is as good as it's supposed to be. The last 28 to 30 hours have been very interesting. In fact, maybe even more than that. The whole weekend.
Let me say, Melissa in the audience says that she has high cholesterol, and I just sent you her email address. When you have a chance, if you might chat with her about it. But there was a comment from Alex going back to the DACA thing. The parent can only become a citizen when the baby turns 21 years old.
If they're born in the U.S.
If they're born in the U.S.
Yeah, I think you're probably right about that. Yeah.
Thank you for that, Alex. All you guys that... now, let's see, what does Daniel say? The bigger argument is chain migration, where if one in the family gets in, the rest of the family does, one at a time. I agree with you, Daniel, chain migration. But you know what? Trump's wife, she got to this country by chain migration. The one that I think is really absurd is the lottery.
Well, because she married Trump.
We're a first world, the leading nation, and we let people, we want the best of people in our country. And so we let them in by spinning a wheel or dropping some balls or however they do it.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's crazy. No, and look, this Dick Durbin, he's on record. I saw him speaking like maybe 10 years ago. He was saying that,
hell holds.
If the DACA gets, among other things, if the DACA gets status, they can't do the chain migration. Now they're saying they can. That was one of the reasons why this meeting blew up the other day. And the whole lot of other stuff, they wanted to extend these Salvatorians are supposed to be, deported. And, obviously the reason why Trump probably got riled up is because he's got because MS-13 comes from El Salvador, that's a kind of a black mark on the country. And
now, this MS-13, I'll be honest, I've heard about them. I'm not very familiar. Are they a gang all over the country? Are they concentrated in one city or multiple cities?
No, they're all over the place. It's there's about 10,000 of them. I mean, 10
so I could have one living. I could have one living in my neighborhood and not know it.
You absolutely could, and there probably are, and there's. I think there were 13,000 estimated. I think they've got rid of a lot of them, but it's a real problem.
And so, what are they into? Are they into drugs?
Everything, everything, the whole everything. It's just like another mafia.
Okay.
So, but I think that, look, I think that they should tell the DACA people to stop demonstrating, just cool it and let the people work out a deal, because they don't really have a right to demonstrate, and the less they antagonize people, the better. I think that the situation's been addressed. The reason why the Democrats are panicking and throwing everything at Trump is because he totally floored them the other day by saying that he was considered, that he'd go to work out a full deal for the 11 million people, and that just, so he took the initiative and snatched it from the Democrats. So I don't know how many people picked up on this, but that's what I've been saying all along. I mean, everybody's come to the basically saying, well, you can't deport 11 million people. it's almost logistically impossible and would probably cost hundreds of billions of dollars. But since most people are more or less resigned to the fact that they deserve some sort of status, ultimately, from a political standpoint, it's very expedient for the Republicans to get this deal done, but they have to get, it's what I said before, you have to secure the border. You get to everybody in the country, you give everybody a chance to turn themselves in or to register, and so that we know everybody in the country. And from that point forward, anybody who is unregistered or who is an illegal agent is subject to deportation without any, with no questions asked. That's the only way to move forward, because otherwise it's just going to be the same old all over again. And there's been a surge in immigration recently because people are saying, well, I'm going to give it a shot anyway, before they want to get in just in case, kind of thing. So, and remember that there's the business part of it is when you look at the European migrations coming from Africa, they're charging 5,000 to 15,000 to get people into Europe. And you look at the numbers that came into Europe, that's a $5 to $15 billion business based on the number of refugees that came in the last year or two. It's the same thing in the US, especially from China, where they charge 50 or 60,000 to get people from China. I mean, it's a massive business. And because of that, there's huge incentive for people to keep this thing going. So they have to get this problem fixed, once and for all.
I'm showing a chart here, and give me a moment. Putting yesterday's sell-off in perspective. And I've decided, guys, I'm not going to worry about spelling anymore, so if it's wrong, just laugh. That guy's an idiot. It's okay. It really is. Let me blow this up so you can actually see it. I got to change my default text. Come on. Let's go 14. That's a good default. Save as default. Now, every time I type, it'll be a 14 point. Putting yesterday's sell-off in perspective. Now, once I squeeze this up, you won't be able to see that writing. That's why I wanted to make sure you could see it there. Okay, I'm going to have to do a lot of scrunching here. Okay, so here's August. We're in 2017 right here. Let's see if I can't scrunch it all the way to where we drew that bottom fib line. Can I stretch it that far? Yeah, there we go. And now let me just pull it down. Okay. All right, now we got the whole picture. Okay. We had a leg and a retracement and a leg and a retrace and a leg and a retrace. Now again, we're going back to 2015, August of 2015. Leg and a retrace, all the things we always teach you, leg and a retrace, the whole thing. It's just been all you had to do is buy the Dow, in August of 2015. You'd be in pretty good shape today. But
well, September 2015 was the date that Trump announced the tax plan. That was really it.
Oh no, that was way back in we were way back in 2015.
Oh, I'm sorry, 2016. My apologies. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Okay,
sorry.
So guys, yesterday's bloodbath, as they called it.
No, it was 15. It was 15, Dwayne. It was August 2015.
Oh, it was.
Yeah. September 2015. It was actually announced the tax plan.
Well, wait a minute. That's 3 years ago.
August 15, we had the 1,000-point drop. Remember, in one day. And then we came, and that was a big spike bottom.
2015. Now 3 years later,
August 24th,
2.5 years.
That was the spike drop, and then look at the Trump bottom there. That was the Trump bottom. There you go.
So you're saying he was just simply talking about his plans. Now, guys, see how price came back, but it never took out that low to the left.
Yeah.
When you're crossing the street, look both ways. When you're trading, look left. Okay? Always look left. You don't have to worry about the hard right edge of the chart. It's there. and you don't know what's on the other side of it.
That's a good mantra. Yeah.
Now, let me show you something, John, because I know we're going to get into this and talk about it here in just a minute. But I showed it to everybody at the top of the hour, so I'll just run through it real quick. The world's largest human migration. China's annual epic travel rush is underway as hundreds of millions of people head home during the Chinese Lunar New Year holiday. The event, known locally as Chunyan, is the largest human migration in the world, and this year, which is the year of the rooster, will last from the 28th of January to February 21st. According to the country's economic planning body, almost 3 billion trips are expected to be made this year, a 2.2% increase from last year. Of the 3 billion, 2.5 will be by land, 356 million by train, 58 million by plane, and 43.5 million by boat, showing land transportation is the preferred form of travel. Also, something that everybody should know, Asia dominates crypto buying on the bid side. Now, this chart is pretty interesting. On the 7th of January 2014, 24 days before the Asian New Year began, this very thing we're talking about, this is the dive in Bitcoin. A year later, the 26th of January 2015, 24 days before the Asian New Year, we got this. 15th of January 2016, 24 days before the Asian New Year, we got this. And the 5th of January 2017, 23 days before the Asian New Year, we got this. So, is this becoming a seasonal trade? I hope so. I would love to be able to, count on the fact that once a year I could buy at a steep discount. Now, the number that I put out weeks ago and talked a little bit about yesterday was the potential for 8,000. I did a lot of technical analysis, and that's a number I came up with a while back. This morning I saw a number of other articles out there on different financial sites that are also saying 8,000 looks like the next place to go if we don't hold 10. But I want you to do, John, after the show, I encouraged everybody here to do this. If you go to our news site, cryptodailyinfo.com, the very top article, it actually takes you to a YouTube video. Why is Bitcoin crashing? Is cryptocurrency dead? Should I sell? He's a young man, and he hasn't been around the markets forever, but he seems to have a pretty good handle on some things. So check out that video. Just go to cryptodailyinfo.com, and it's the very top news article. And I won't update the news till this afternoon, so it'll still be at the top when you go there. Bruce, I had a question for you, John. Are there any countries in Europe that lean right instead of left? That's a good question, Bruce. There are?
Yeah. Austria. Austria is very big right now. Holland.
Whoa. Holland is a conservative country?
Yeah, France. It's going. There's a conservative. France is going that way.
Interesting. Well, what are the countries where they have if you're a heroin addict, they give you heroin, they give you needles?
Portugal is probably.
Portugal has made all drugs legal, and it's turned the country around. I don't know how, but I think it's Sweden. I think in Sweden they have these public centers where they go, they get their drug, they have to sit there for a little bit to make sure they are going to be okay, and then they leave. And so they're not breaking into people's houses and stealing their TVs or any of the other crime that's associated, and they say it's made a huge difference. The other night, do you watch the TV show Blue Bloods?
No, I don't.
Oh, you got to go back to season 1, episode 1. It's a great show. The guy that's in it was Magnum PI. What's his name? The actor. Audience, help us out. Anyway, this is the greatest role he's ever played. He's the police commissioner of New York City, Tom Selleck. This is the crowning role of all the work that he's done, and he plays that so incredibly well. Now, you were talking about something that brought that to mind. What were you just talking about? Because I was so busy trying to think of his name, I forgot why I brought it up. There's a reason. God, I'm getting old. I need a notepad. What were we talking about? I asked you if there were any countries in Europe that lean right instead of left. Any countries in Europe that lean right instead of... Oh, I know what it was. On the last episode of Blue Bloods, someone had recorded 20 minutes of the police commissioner, Tom Selleck, making a speech. They were able to use this new computer software that it's real, it exists. If they have 20 minutes of somebody talking, they can recreate not only the words, but the facial expressions. The lips match the words perfectly. And so they did this to the commissioner, and they released it on the internet or YouTube or whatever. It was Tom Selleck, the police commissioner of New York, the star of Blue Bloods, telling everyone that he thinks all drugs should be decriminalized, and he gave all the reasons, and it really looked like he was saying it. And he went bananas, but it was a great show. So, but you got a few years to catch up to that. It's important to let the characters build. It's a family who, let's see, his father was the police commissioner, and he's got two sons that are cops. One son died as a cop, and his daughter is a prosecutor for the district attorney. So anyway, enough small talk. What markets you want to go to? What do you want to talk about?
Well, let's go back to yesterday. We came in off this holiday with the Dow up very, very substantially. It was up about 240 points. And I said I had put out an alert saying that I thought that we would gap through 26,000, which we did. And we actually got up to 26,086 yesterday. And I have been waiting for something like this. And this had all the appearances of a classic key reversal, where the market opens higher and sells off and reverses. So we waited for the market to show signs of stress, which it started to do from about 10 o'clock through 11, and mostly in the first half of that hour. And so we selectively sold everything right at the top, including Amazon, about $1 off the high, again, like we did the last time. And we went short across the board. And shortly thereafter, the bet on this show several times that I thought we'd have another kind of a Brian Ross type event. It may have happened yesterday because of the way we've recovered. So then next thing you know, it had lost quite 50 points and then 100 points. And I put out an alert saying, I think there's going to be a bloodbath before the day's out. And that's pretty much what happened. We ended up down 380 points on the Dow at one point. And I did say that I thought that the market would bottom around 2:30, 3 o'clock yesterday, which it did. And we have bounced dramatically since then. However, the fangs have been very slow to take off today, but they finally started rallying in the last hour, and have given the market a big lift because of that. Facebook got led the way down this morning for the losers, and finally turned. So it might be the beginning of now that we're up, we're potentially at a bit of a turning point here, where if we were to turn down, and I believe we could, then we might have another bad down day tomorrow and possibly Friday. So, and the reason is, although the Dow doesn't represent very much of a reversal at this point because of the way it's a sort of a kind of a doji of sorts that you showed on the chart. The Nasdaq and the others were more pronounced in their reversal, and some of the stocks themselves. So the question is, the shutdown threat is still out there. If that becomes a reality tomorrow or Friday, I think the market could get rocked again. But I did, here's the point. This reversal, the way it happened yesterday, at least before today, was the only key reversal since of any kind of magnitude since 2007. And we basically had two in 2007. We had one on July the 24th, right before a 10% drop. And we had one on October the 12th, I think it was same. And that was before a 57% drop. So I would be taking this very, very seriously, because it could imply that a turning point is at hand. The one thing that just about nobody in the world is looking for right now is a 10% correction. And this certainly stopped the action cold, at least for a day or half a day yesterday. But I did say, I'm not ruling out new highs, because this market is so strong that it could just blow through this previous, this thing that happened yesterday. And, as we get into the end of January, there is a very, very strong argument that we could have another strong, potentially strong up week in the final week of January. Some of the results that have come out of have so far been a bit mixed. But, if some of these fangs disappoint when they come out and drop $100 or more, then we might be in for a correction. But the fact that we got to 26,000 and are more or less back up there again is pretty impressive. And if we were to close over 26,000 today, that would be a big deal. I think the way the market's acting, the real upside target for this market is possibly several thousand points away still to the upside on the Dow, because all of the ingredients that make the price, including earnings and the earnings gain from these taxes, are very significant. The junior companies are a huge beneficiary of the tax, and they're, the way the mid cap. I mean, look, what we're experiencing here. We remember Bastille Day last year was a really big deal, because we made about, I think we made 12 new highs on 12 different indices that day. But it didn't last. It wasn't sort of sustainable. Bastille Day was a bit of a blow off of sorts, and then we had that correction before the liftoff in August. But what Bastille Day showed you, which I pointed out long ago, was because we had a Dow theory buy signal with the transports making new highs along with the Dow, and we had the mid caps and all these other indices all hitting new highs simultaneously. I said we were light years away from a high, light years away from a top. But this rally now, where we're getting a Bastille Day every day, or we've had a Bastille Day almost every day for the last, since the start of the year, is something that's just never happened before. I mean, it's absolutely categorically never ever happened before in history. We've never had all of these indices hitting new highs simultaneously, day after day after day. It's absolutely unprecedented, and it implies enormous upside strength in the market still to come, and potentially another year ahead. And I said that, like, when did I say that? About a week ago, before we were up almost 1,000 points. Yep. On the Dow. So this is a phenomenon like the likes of which we've never seen before ever. Ultimately, I think. Oh, by the way, the things. Interestingly, I've been saying that the strategy for Trump should be to convert the from almost zero black support for the Republicans to 16% when he won. It's now 23%. He's to get that up to 80%. But one of the most amazing things, with this whole thing that happened with this immigration argument that happened and all this stuff they were heaving over Trump, he had more black guys defending him on the airwaves in the last few days than whites or Chinese or anybody else, which is amazing. So he's kind of winning over the black community quite successfully, actually. And he even had Martin Luther King's nephew come on and really defend him vigorously. Now the son is still kind of anti-Trump, but the nephew and the niece are very pro-Trump.
I saw some lady, she's some relative of King's, I can't remember, daughter?
Probably the niece, I think.
Yeah, I think maybe it was the niece. She didn't seem too happy with him.
Well, no, but the nephew was...
No, she might have been... Who were the people that rode with him in the limo to the game? Both of them spoke very highly of him, and anyway.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to start taking notes.
But more and more, just recently there's been a real chorus of tremendous black support, and people saying, look, forget about calling this a racist. It's just a lot of nonsense. I mean, this guy, how could he be a racist when you got guys like Don King campaigning for him and Carson and all these other people? I mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah, that is a little odd, isn't it?
And it turned. Did you know that he funded some trips to Haiti? He paid for the Kentucky senator to go down, and
no, I did not know that.
They performed 200 eye operations on Haitians, and it was all funded by Trump. I mean, this it's just crazy, Anyway, look, people are starting to realize that there's something huge going on in the country. The country's booming, the markets are booming, and the economy hasn't really felt the impact of this massive upturn in the market. And not only that, right now, if you add all the bits and pieces together, the cryptos, the real estate, and everything else, and the underground economy, the actual gains are probably around 12 trillion, which is staggering. And that's one of the reasons why the market's going back up again today, because this creation of money is just immense. And now going to the metals, the metals had a bit of a shakeout here the last couple of days. Actually was long the silver and gold be going into the weekend, and they rallied dramatically. I decided to get out. I think it was the first night of the Sunday night, and then the markets came down sharply, and the silver had a very big sell-off. Got back in. The silver and gold are back up again. I think we're looking at the prospect of a dramatic upside breakout here in the next few days in the gold and silver. The palladium rather, had a big shakeout too. Got back long. Same with the platinum. They're both on the highs of the day right now. The palladium's looking fantastic. It's back up 21 points, almost to our previous target, 1111. Just hit it a minute ago. Palladium looks incredibly strong. Lumber made a new all-time high today, 479. The grains, I believe the grains have bottomed. The wheat was down sharply. We put a buy signal around 415, and it's now at 421, and I'd be inclined to hold it. The corn also had a bit of a shakeout a couple of days yesterday. Got back into that. The beans dropped this morning. We got in again. They're back up. It really looks like the grains could go up a lot here in the next few days. The currencies are going
well, now
insane
soybeans.
today.
I got soybeans up, John. Those they were sideways. We've been sideways for 2 days here. You see, we had a
That's
gap.
okay.
We had a gap
That's
higher
okay.
open right here, and
Yeah.
did this fill the gap? Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, those gap fill guys just, you know, they
We
got
put a buy on the beans at 9:45, Dwayne. That remember we were waiting for that news. I just took a shot at it. I said, you know, because I had a feeling it might drip down and just reverse. Well, it didn't. It just went straight up. And actually, to tell you what we actually did, we bought it at 9:45. We sold it at about 9:57. Bought it back at about 9:54. And right now we're long. And I'm telling you, probably tomorrow or overnight or tomorrow or even later today before the close, you're going to see these beans go. They're going to go, and they're going to. Next thing you know, they'll be over 1,000. I think this time the beans are. This is the move is on for real, and the soy meal is acting even better. Check out the soy meal.
I don't know the symbol for that on my platform.
Yeah. What is your symbol there? ZSH.
ZSH8.
Yeah, it's ZSM. It's probably ZSMH. Try that.
ZSMH. No, let me go back to just ZS. I should be getting a reading at ZS.
Or just SMH, no?
Well, let me just try
SMH
ZS. Okay. And you said ZSM?
8, yeah, that's H8. H8.
ZSH. Well, ZSH8.
No, ZSMH. ZSMH8.
ZHM8.
ZSM. No, ZSMH.
Yeah, it's under something different on this platform. Anybody in the audience?
I thought I saw it there a minute ago. I thought I saw it. Soy meal, ZMH8. ZMH8. There it is. ZM.
ZMH8. Okay,
yeah,
very good.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Now, that's a daily chart.
Yeah, put the intraday up. It looks really good.
You want like a half hour, hour?
Yeah, your usual half hour, yeah.
Okay, yeah. There's 30 minutes. Wow, that does look strong.
Look.
Yeah. Wow. And that goes all the way back. That started... it started way back on Friday. And then on the Sunday night Globex Open, we had a... No. Yep. We had a small gap higher open right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, is this a contract that's very liquid? Is it something you can trade
intraday? Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. It's a good contract. It's $100 a point.
$100 a point. Wow, we used to
Yeah.
love the Russell because it was $100 a point.
Yeah.
Before they did what they did to it. What about? Have you talked about crude yet?
No, the gasoline and the heating oil made new multi-year highs today, just incredibly strong. The crude, a little bit weaker, but I'd say that the crude probably going to go stronger if there's more, if there's another week of inventory decline. So, right now, if you're long, we might be getting a bit of a sell here on these things, actually, right here. So there could be a bit of a pullback. But if we start breaking above 64, 10, 20, it's probably going to go back up towards 65 again.
Yep, our long trade didn't work out. We were looking for 64.15 and it made it up to 64.17. So anybody that took that trade probably dealt with a small stop out. If you were trading off a 30-minute chart, you wouldn't have taken that trade because you would have had to put your stop way back below 63.40, and that's just not good math. So
yeah. So the right now the dollar is tanking, and the metals and the currencies are soaring. I mean, the currencies are on fire here today. Aussie dollar's up huge.
How's the U.S. dollar faring?
Bad. It's down to 90, 90.12 right now.
On the sell side, we did a little bit better on crude. We had to sell in at 63.65.
I mean, we had 127 as a target on the euro, and we're already up to 123. And the Swiss is 104, just hit 104.75. Looks like. This is and the Aussie's just crazy. Aussie's gone up dramatically here, and the Canadian as well.
So what's behind that? What's pushing it higher?
I think this whole, the falling dollar is basically what's pushing everything. All the gold stocks are soaring now. The JNUG is just going through 20. The Nugget is 36.5. I think we're going to have a very big day in the metals today.
So you think there's more upside in today's session?
I do, yeah.
All right, let me see what questions we have down here. Jim asked for your view on soybean oil, and
I'd be
Bruce asked
careful
about
oil.
natural gas.
The oil is not, when the soy meal and the beans are going, forget about the oil. When the beans are down and the meal are down, sometimes the oil is a good trade. You have to be very careful of this oil because it doesn't always go up in a bull market in the grains. And right now, if you look at it, it's making new lows today. So that's your answer.
Okay, let me see what else we got in the chat box.
I wouldn't buy the oil in the belief that it's going to catch up with the grains. That's a very bad idea to do something like that. You always want to buy the strongest part of any move in any sector. Always buy the strongest and sell the weakest.
And what do you got on natural gas?
Very bullish.
Are you in the G contract or the H?
The G.
Still in G? Okay.
Yeah. The natural gas is very I think it's these inventories. I mean, look at the whole country is frozen. Everywhere is cold, just about. The ice, the seas are freezing over in Massachusetts. The lakes are freezing over. The rivers are freezing over. It's just unbelievable. I mean, we're in a mini ice stage. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There was a fellow on locally the other day in some parts of Texas saying they've never seen anything like this in 30 or 40 years. This kind of cold. And by the way, the orange juice you want to watch orange juice because it's been down a lot, but it's not responding just yet. But if there's sort of a delayed reaction like there was on lumber and cotton for that matter, you could suddenly see orange juice go knock limit up. So I'd put buy stops probably at 140.5 or somewhere like that on the orange juice just in case. Because if it goes limit up, it'll happen very fast, but it could be lock limit up for days if there's remember, half the crop was damaged. And so the crop is very vulnerable to frost damage right now. And if that's severe, then it could be reflected quite significantly.
Okay. Anything else you want to cover?
No, other than the metals are really starting to put it on here. It's looking extremely positive.
Yeah, we got a nice rally going. Okay, on the email last night, our long recommendation as far as gold. Gold on the buy side, 1346. What we were concerned with was the resistance we saw here, and then here we failed to put in a higher high. So we wanted to get above that turbulence and you know, take a crack at 1346. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there.
It looks like we're going to gap through this 40. You remember Ed mentioned this 1344 area?
Yeah,
that's
right.
been very significant.
Yes, it has.
That was a nice spike on gold today. There, look at that. Put up the silver there for. Can you put up the silver for a second?
Sure.
Just the same time frame.
GSI. Are we in G? H? What are we in?
H.
GSI H. Okay. Now that's on a 30-minute chart. Whoa!
Okay.
Look at that.
Yeah. So look, this is fantastic because this is kind of like a retest of that spike, that mini spike that we had this morning. But what's significant about it is we didn't make lower lows on the silver over the last period, you know, few days or whatever. But the gold did. This is a positive divergent buy signal. And I'm telling you, when you get a positive divergent buy signal on silver like this versus gold, you just got to be long. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I think the silver is going to run. We might be talking about $18 silver by Thursday or Friday, by tomorrow or Friday. And I think it won't stop at 18. I think it's going to go to about 18.5 before it gets into trouble. So
when you go to that news page at cryptodailyinfo.com,
yeah,
there's an article there right under the one that I just showed you and recommended that you listen to the guy's video. It's only about 15 minutes, 20 minutes. There's an article, are the silver CME criminals also gutting crypto or Bitcoin or something to that effect? And
could be.
Anyone who's ever been in silver knows about, you know, all the conspiracies surrounding silver and Mr. Jamie Dimon and his bank and all kinds of other bad actors and players in this sad tragedy.
Well, they're about to get their heads handed to them because I think the silver is going to, I'm telling you, the silver, honestly, I think it's going to go into the 20s, maybe even before the end of the month. It's really going to move up. Can you expand the chart a bit to see the...
You mean scrunch it up?
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you this before I scrunch it. Okay, you see this trend line that I drew down right here?
Yeah.
So, what do you think? Where do we need to break above? What's your number where you think, you know, it's on like Donkey Kong?
I think it's pretty much on its way right now.
Okay.
You know?
So this trend line really doesn't worry you?
No, that doesn't bother me, no. It's probably going to gap through it this time.
Interesting. All right, I'll bring it in. Wow, look at all this distance going back to... Oh, I'm on a 30-minute chart. So what about if I switch this out to a daily? Let's see what that looks like. Oh, that's a whole different can of worms. That puts this pretty small in perspective. Yeah, boy, I see a lot of sellers sitting up here waiting for another shot at knocking it down. But I also see a lot of buyers right here that say we couldn't do it last time, but we did it this time, and we can do it again. Or some people see a head and a shoulder and another shoulder, and we break.
Yeah,
the
it could always take longer, you know. But right now, I mean, it's power. Remember that the fundamentals have changed. You got a crashing dollar, you know. That's the thing. Dollar just hit 90, so it's about to break 90 any second now.
So a break of that neckline could potentially take us up into the $18 range, like you just said.
Yeah.
If that's how it plays out.
So 18.5 looks like a reasonable bet, right?
It does. Yeah.
Yeah.
It does. If we break that neckline. A failure there, you know, could take us back to who knows what.
Yeah, it might look at it even when September 2010 the last time we were higher. We were in the 18 range before it suddenly broke out and went to 50. Now, the reason, although you might be making an argument, which could be correct, that it's going to take longer for this thing to break out here. If it does break out and it gets up to that 18.5 area, once it gets above there, I think you can see that it's pretty clear air all the way to the 20s.
Oh yeah, if it gets past here, it should just fly up into this area.
Yeah.
Now there's going to be some heavy pressure here.
Right.
I didn't say it was Jamie Dimon, but read between the lines. So
yeah,
I'd like to go on a long walk with that guy. I'm telling you, he's a real piece of work. He's paid more money in fines, him and his bank, than all other banks in history that I can calculate and figure out. I mean, every year it's like $1 billion in fines. Just that's for him. It's the cost of doing business.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather get scolded for doing something wrong than to ask, can I do it, and get turned down. So makes his own rules as he goes. Back to the ES. It's climbing, guys. It looks like it's going to make that trek up to 2807/2808. Now, John, before you go, I pointed this out to everyone this morning, and I'm not real big on these, time things. But something that I've watched for years is that if the market gets a strong open in any particular direction, even if there's no news like there was yesterday, at 10 o'clock, a few minutes before, a few minutes after, whatever, not right at the stroke of 10, that's where you see the reversal. Yesterday, at 9:30, we rallied up, hit the zone. It's 10 o'clock, the reversal begins. Over here, this is today. Okay, this is the opening candle. We sold off hard, hit the zone, and at 10 o'clock, what do we get? The reversal. So please, guys, don't think I'm telling you the market's going to reverse every day at 10 a.m. You cannot build a strategy around that. But if you're aware of it, if you're at least watching for it, it's kind of like, throwing you a softball. The market just threw you a softball. If it starts reversing at 10, you can probably find your goal for the day in that direction. And don't try to make anything more of it than that, okay? John, anything else you want to add?
No, this is a great show. Thanks very much. One other thing we didn't mention, the cocoa, which we had to buy in the low 19s. It got slammed back down, and it's up big today. And look at the grains right now. They're starting to trade higher. I think we're going to see a breakout. We're going to see a strong close today, right into the in about half an hour. So
our buy today is up at 971, I believe is what was in the email last night. No, 973. We really want to rise above this. And now that gap's been closed, there's no reason why it can't happen. Yesterday we ran right up and touched our number, right on the nose, and pulled back. And because somebody asked the other day on the show, they said on your trade alerts, should we buy the exact number or we should buy on a stop one tick above? I said, that's a decision you've got to make because it's discretionary trading. I said, but many is the time I've seen price run right up to our number and reverse off of that.
Yeah, the cocoa's going. The coffee, just rebounded from a very perilous looking 120 or so, back up to 123. The sugar just turned as well, and now, don't forget that the grains rallying is bullish for gold as well, bullish for gold and the silver. So the whole sector, the dollar, looks certainly prone to potentially breaking down below 90 here between now and the weekend. So I would say, and the thing is that, at some point when if the gold and silver have a really strong day tomorrow and Friday, that might be enough to spook the market into selling off again. So the that's something to keep an eye on. You know, if we just the opposite of what happened today, if tomorrow, you know, we start selling off at 10 o'clock, that might be a cue that we're going to have a down day tomorrow.
Okay. Say that one more time.
Well, look, you know, I just think there's something, there's a possibility that Turkey is going to invade Syria. Yeah. That could rock the markets briefly. Also, this funding, you know, government funding shutdown thing.
You think it's going to happen?
The market feels to me like it could happen. You know, it just because we you know, if we came down and did another test to the downside, it might give a better foundation for a better rally into next week. But right now, you can't argue with the strength. It's pretty impressive. You know, right now the market's very strong.
All right,
and the semiconductors are actually up again today, so it's looking very good.
All right.
Well, okay, listen. Thanks for the invite. Sorry about yesterday.
Oh, no, I'm just glad you got everything put back together again. That's what.
Okay, thanks a lot.
All right,
Bye.
have a great day.
You too.
Okay, I'll walk you through it, guys, real quick in case you didn't catch it. I was doing it. Last night's email, if you didn't get a chance to grab a screenshot, you want to grab a screenshot? Grab a screenshot. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Now, though that what you just took a screenshot of could have been in your inbox at 6:15 p.m. Eastern last night. If you want to know how to make that happen, send us an email, support@cfrn.net. Okay, on the ES, buy 2788. Of course, looking for it to make the run all the way up to the zone at 95. If that had happened, that would have been 7 points. But I calculated it here, 4 points. At $50 a point, that's $200 per contract available. Important prices, important areas are almost always tested. So we get back below the trigger. The zone holds us support. It's 10 a.m. Eastern. And what do? We run for the roses. Last time I calculated, that was $550 per contract available. Okay. So some might say, well, is that a hot knife through butter? No, well, at least not on a 30-minute chart, because this candle spent some time here and this one spent some time here. But when we talk about consolidation often looks a lot more like this or like this, but sometimes it will look like that, and sometimes it will look like that. Okay. All right. So that's the S&P. Let's go to the Dow. Last night's email said to consider buying 25,890. It ran up 90 points. Important prices, important areas, almost always tested. Price gets back below the trigger, takes off again, runs up 140 points. Now, we never get out at the swing high or swing low because we teach you to trail your stop. So when you trail your stop, you'll always leave a little something on the table. No triggers on the Russell. We expected it to be a sideways day, and we noted it. We gave prices, but I don't know that, unless something wakes it up, we won't trigger today. And with the wide range we had yesterday, I'm surprised today was not more of a consolidation day, but it wasn't. On the NQ, we said to consider buying 67.99 at 16 points at $20 per point per contract. And no trigger on the sell side. Crude oil. We said to consider selling 63.35. The first time, you could have got stopped out. Now, on a 30-minute chart, your stop would have been up here, okay? And that's more than the $300 that we typically allocate to a Concierge Trade Alert. So it could have been a stop out, it could have been a walk away. oh, that's too much risk. Now you may have been able to drill down to a smaller time frame and found a suitable entry based upon our principle. Here you had a little bit lower high, but it's still, we're talking about selling 63.65, and you know, your stop really, it would need to be at about 63, minimum 63.92. We call it 95. Okay, from 65 to 95, that's 30 points, $10 a point. That's exactly $300. So this risk at 93.95 would have been exactly the $300 that we talk about. That's the maximum. If we have to risk more than $300 on a Concierge Trade Alert, then we just go look for another trade, because we get 8 markets every day, 2 trades per market. And when important prices in important areas are tested, well, it's possible that out of those 8 markets that you get with 2 trades every night, that's 16, but you could potentially see 25, 30, 40 triggers in the course of a day across all those markets. You've only got to find one that works out for you, and you're done for the day. Stop out here, possible stop out here. Now again, on this one, you know, your stop's got to be way down here. So unless you're looking at something on a smaller time frame that gives you the trade based on our principle, then you're not in this trade, okay? Now, on the second sell-off where the risk was proper, Crude gave up $370 per contract available. On the gold side, consider selling 1336. First move down, $270 per contract available. Back above the trigger, down we go again, this time $500 per contract available. And on the long side, I'll just tell you, if you didn't make a screenshot, our buy is way up at 1346. Will that happen today? Time will tell. And on the bonds, oh my goodness. Are those really bonds? They really are. Okay, all right, let's just read it. Consider selling at 150.21. Okay, that happened right here. Okay. Sell 150.21. So now, same thing with the stops. See, you might say, oh man, no, I'm not risking that, because this is 31.25 per tick. It did drop to 150.14, so that's 7 ticks times 31.25 per tick. And then here it dropped to 150.13, so that would be 12 times 31.25. On the long side, where were we at? Consider buying 151.03. Yep. This is why I don't ever encourage anybody to trade bonds. I mean, if you have a knack for it, God bless you. I wish I did, but I don't seem to. 151.03, we got up to 151.06. That's $90 and change per contract. Soybeans, no trigger. Our long trigger is way up here, and our short trigger is at 961. Right there. Horizontal line on my cursor. So we turned up right before, well, let's just swing low here. 961.25. One more tick and it would have triggered at 961, but it didn't. Turned and showed us its true colors. It wants to rally. So that's our walk through the markets. On our good word for the day yesterday, we talked about this year getting out of your comfort zone. Deuteronomy 31:6 suggests or encourages or commands, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid and do not panic before them. It's kind of like saying don't let them see you sweat. Incredible though it may seem, when Israel encountered difficulties in the wilderness, what did they want to do? They wanted to return to their old life of slavery in Egypt. The security of the known was less threatening to them than the challenges of the unknown. So God said to them, not once but twice, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid and do not panic before them. For the Lord your God will personally go ahead of you. He will neither fail you nor abandon you. Why do you say that? Because it's in taking action that you overcome your fear. When you challenge your fears, you master them. When you wrestle with your problems, they lose their grip on you. When you dare to confront the things that scare you, you open the door to the future. Now, we all know that every envelope we open could potentially have bad news in it. Every time the phone rings, there could be bad news on the other end of the line. But let's just say you have an envelope on your desk from a certain 3-letter government agency that we won't even talk about, and it's really got you petrified because you've never seen that exact kind of envelope from those folks, and just the way it's just got an ominous look to it. So you could sit there all day staring at that envelope, gripped by fear as to what's in it. In fact, you could stare at it all week and live in fear. But the simple act, the action of, no matter how scared you are, you pick up the envelope, you open it, you read it, and whatever's inside, you deal with it. Because remember, nothing's going to happen to me today that God and I can't handle together, right? Rip that sucker open. Answer the phone. What do you want? Why are you calling me? Oh, I'm sorry, Mom. A wise man once said, so we know that, I'm quoting somebody, take the bull by the horns until you have him screaming for mercy. Now, back to the envelope. You could spend the whole day or whole week or however long paralyzed by fear as to what's in that envelope. But the second you open it and read it, okay, now that might bring another type of fear, okay, but now you're going to go and deal with that. You're going to take action and you're going to get rid of that fear. It's by confronting the fears with action that, when light comes, darkness flees. Every single time. Have you ever turned on the light in a house where there was electricity and the bulb wasn't blown? Have you ever turned on a light in a house when darkness did not flee? Almost without exception, every man and woman in the Bible whom God called to do great things felt inadequate and told him. And how did God respond? Well, in Isaiah 41:10, he said, I will strengthen you and help you. I will hold you up with my victorious right hand. Author John Mason writes, the desire for safety stands against every great and virtuous dream. Security, many times, is the first step towards stagnation. Boldness and vision is the first, second, and third most important thing. If you dare nothing, you should expect nothing. So whatever opportunity or obstacle you're facing today, don't forget the God factor. He's got your back. He's out in front of you. He's going to hold you up with his righteous right hand. Those are promises from his words. With him on your side, what you have is always greater than whatever it is you lack. And that's our good word for the day. Okay, friends, that's going to do it for this Wednesday, the 17th day of January, 2018. Thank you all so much for tuning in today. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading Emini Futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.